you so much for tuning into this episode of Coda Country Chats. I'm Leigh, and today I'm joined by Devon Beck. How are you today, Devon?
Hi, Leigh. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you. And listen, I'm really, really excited to talk about your single that you just released. I was listening to it a little bit before I tuned in today, and Blame It is released back on October 18th. From listening to the song, I kind of have an idea um, where the inspiration came from, but I gotta know, is it based on a true story? And I want to know more about that. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so unfortunately,
Oh
Blame
no.
It, yes, is based on a true story. It's about a relationship that I was in not too long ago. My friends and I decided to sit down and kind of write a
Mhm.
song about what I was going through and feeling at the time. And we just put it out all out on a piece of paper, and it just came out so great. And I'm so glad that I get to now share my side of the story with everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this too. Um, when you started writing this, I saw that you have a couple different writers on the track with you. Um, Tell me about the writing process that day. Was this like one of those writes where you write multiple things, or was this like the main focus? I'd love to know more about that too.
Yeah, so this was my first time actually writing at a publishing house. One of the writers on it has a pub deal with the place we were at. And so I was a little nervous
Mhm.
going in. It was me, Cody Garrett, and Nathan Wilson. And I thought it was just going to be us. And then Sam Johnson was also there who came in. And he was kind of the missing piece, I think, to the whole
Yeah.
thing. He kind of made all of our ideas kind of come together. I pitched Blame It to them and they loved it. And it originally was about another relationship I was in, about, him going out to the bar and coming back and only calling me whenever he's drunk. And then I was in the relationship at this time. And I think it kind of morphed into what I was going through with the substance abuse and all of the stuff that goes with it. And so it just kind of applied where it needed to. And Sam Johnson really helped me get my
Yeah,
feelings out
exactly.
and to be able to share my side of the story.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for the listeners out there who are going to go stream the song if they haven't already, it starts off with this like hard driving guitar part that like really kind of feels like the catalyst into the rest of the song. Is this what you visioned when you first started writing it, or is it something that just kind of like evolved into what it is now?
Yeah, so I would say kind of a little bit of both. Originally, like if anybody has listened to my older stuff, it's very pop country oriented.
Yeah.
It falls more into the singer songwriter, and I am just so heavily influenced right now by Ella Langley, Hardy, and Coetzel, and all of what they're
Hmm.
doing with the country rock. And I really wanted to be a part of that since it's something I feel like I generate so well with. And this song I felt like was the perfect opportunity to showcase my, country rock side. And I really just wanted to see if people would like it. It's something completely different that I've never
Yeah.
done before. And I just really hope people like it. And I'm going to continue doing it if that's what they like.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you said, listening to your other stuff, especially from the EP that you released before this, it I hear a little bit of the influence from that. I guess more in the lyrics, but yeah, musically like the instrumentation is so much more hard driving and it's just I don't know, the song is awesome. Not that your other stuff's not awesome too, but yes, I really did like it a lot. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I really wanted to showcase my rocker side. Like I said, I'm so heavily influenced by all of the country rock that's going in right now, and it's so cool to me. And I just want to be able to showcase that and do something completely different,
Mhm.
especially since I love it so much. And I really do hope people like it, and I'm going to continue down that route if they do.
For sure. Tell me about your time from 18 to 22 because I saw in your bio that you moved from Pennsylvania to Nashville. Did you move when you were 18 or tell me about that process too?
Yeah, so I moved to Nashville when I was 18. I was kind
Mhm.
of back and forth a little bit since I was 16. I grew up doing open mics and I slowly got into gigs down there. So instead of like a normal high schooler going to parties and hanging out with my friends, I was doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights at a local venue in my hometown, which I really loved doing. But
Right.
the time got around to graduating and next steps, and a lot of my friends were that were older than me were at big universities, and it was COVID year, and they ended up dropping out. And my original plan was to go to Middle Tennessee State University, and
Yeah.
with them just dropping out, I just figured, might as well just give Nashville a shot and skip college and start working. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Yeah. For sure. And like I've heard it from some of, you know, the greatest artists that like you really cut your teeth on Broadway, right? Cuz you have to be able to work with the crowd and, you know, like that's how you make your bread and butter, you know what I mean? So, tell me, do you have a favorite venue to play on Broadway?
Well, I would say that there are a few that I love playing at because I work for a booking company, so they own a lot of the bars downtown. So we kind of just like rotate through a lot of them. But I would say my all-time favorite is
Yeah.
Jason Aldean's. It's where I met some of my best friends, and it's such a good
Mhm.
time. And I don't know if you've been there, but the stage is kind of like up, and it's more of a dinner crowd, and it's like a dinner and a show. And I just love
Yeah.
the environment. I love all of the people that are there. I love the staff. It's
Yeah.
so great. So I would definitely say Jason Aldean's.
Very cool. You know what's crazy is that I this may be telling my age a little bit. I remember when Jason Aldean's was the Cadillac Ranch, and it was like I don't know, the layout is so similar, right? But yeah, that that definitely tells my age a little bit. Oops. Okay. Anyway, oh, so tell me a little bit more. When you like moved to Nashville, um, were there any like you were saying with the pandemic, what were the challenges for you during that time of like moving away from home, getting ready to start this career? What did you have to overcome to really start, you know, breaking into the scene?
Yeah, so I would say the main thing that I had to overcome, I would say, or the biggest struggle was my age at the time. I was freshly 18, and a lot of the
Yeah.
venues did not know that. And when they found out, I was kind of like kicked back a little bit until I turned 21. So I think that my age was probably the biggest struggle I had. Also, I was really quiet at the
Mhm.
time. I didn't have really great performance skills. I feel like now being in it 2 years, I'm a completely different person. I know what the crowd wants a little bit more, So I would say those are probably my biggest struggles.
Yeah. So and you even said it too. It's like your music has kind of grown with you. Now that you've grown up a little bit, what do you I don't want to say what do you expect, but how do you expect your career to kind of grow and we can even talk a little bit about this too. I'd love to know more about like your 5 year plan. Like, have you thought that far in advance? Do you have big grandeur plans that you have
So
in the
I
works?
feel like the 5 year plan is kind of like iffy for songwriters because you just never know what's gonna click. With the world going on right now with TikTok, I could be famous overnight. You just never know what's gonna
Oh
click with
yeah. Hmm.
somebody or what you're doing. I think right now I'm just planning on continuing to do Broadway and work on my performance skills. I've grown so much
Yeah.
just in the past 2 years, like you said, just my music has grown with me. So I think I'm going to continue songwriting and applying that to my artistry level and, just keep living the dream.
Keep living the dream. That's right. Keep living that dream. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I did want to ask you this too, um, because we described the new single "Blame It" as having more hard rock. You talked about Ella Langley. You talked about You talked about Hardy. Um, who were your musical influences when you were growing up? Like, who did you listen to the most? I'd love to know that.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of funny. I grew up in kind of like a pop based stuff. My parents didn't really listen to country at all. I grew up listening to Adele, so I feel like I kind of channel
Yes.
her when I sing. My grandma introduced me to country when I was a little bit older, so I don't know a lot of the 90s stuff. When people
Hmm.
request it, I'm still learning.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would just say Adele was my biggest thing at the time because she was huge when I was growing up, and I just loved her so much, and she was such an influence. And I feel like that kind of relates to my music, what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Well, okay, so thinking more about Adele, because she's such a wonderful artist, right? I think one of those like she only puts out like an album every 3 years or something like that, right? And people just like really love her stuff. Um, how would you categorize like Adele's style into what you're doing now? Do you think it's more of like a vocal technique thing? Do you think it's more of like a stage presence thing? I want to know. I want to know
Yeah,
more.
so I would say I feel like because I was listening to her so much, a
Hmm.
lot of people say I sound like her. I think it's kind of like an accent, like you just pick up things that they do and just stuff like that. I don't
Yeah.
really know how to explain it. It's just like you just hear it so much that it just kind of starts resonating in what you're
I
doing.
love hearing that though, because it is true. Like the more you practice or the more you sing, like I don't know, a person that you really love, it's like you almost get that little bit of twang or a little bit of tinge of their voice and your voice. Like it's really, I love knowing that. Oh my gosh! And now that I'm gonna go back and listen to Blame It and some of your other stuff too, and just be like, oh, I do hear a little bit of Adele in there.
Yeah, I really would just say it. It's like an accent. I feel like, when you go home or you visit home, like my New Jersey kind of comes out a little bit. Or if you're from like the southern
That's
parts
so
of the
true. Yeah.
US, your southern accent comes out. It's kind of like that. It's really weird, but cool.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense to me. Hey, okay, so tell me this too. We talked about your single that you released October 18th. Is this single like a part of an EP that you see coming out or an album that you see coming out? Or any kind of like collection of other songs that you have to release soon? Ooh, I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, I would say that I really want to blame it to, like have its own special moment, especially since it was such a big point in my life and it's
Yeah.
such like a punch in the face, I always say, to all men. But I definitely do have some other stuff I've been working on that's kind of like the Blame It style, more of the country rock. But I also do have some of the stuff that I'm more comfortable with, like the pop country. So I really just wanted to release a song and see how people would take it. And if people liked it, then I was going to keep rolling with it, especially since it's something I'm so passionate about. And I love listening to country rock. So I just really wanted to see what people thought of it before I decided to release it.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like all of your fans that you have from your EP that you released and even your other singles like Cigarette Smoke and Say to You, I feel like all of those garnished streams there like really are gonna get more fans to gravitate into this newer style and just even grab hold of new fans that like the new style and haven't heard the old stuff. And so yeah, I'm really excited to see how that goes for you. I do want to ask you this too. In looking at your bio and knowing some of the artists that you've opened for, like Maddie and Tay, Ernest, Joe Nichols, I'd love to know how it feels to be an opener for some of these awesome artists. If you have like a favorite memory of opening for someone, I would love to hear that story.
Yeah, being an opener is probably one of my favorite things. I just love learning from all of the people, that are above you and have put in all the
Yeah.
work and you get all of the little bits and pieces of advice. I just love learning from other people. But I would say one memory that sticks out was I opened up for Ernest at a local state fair and he actually DM'd me before the show. And I guess his
Cool.
guitar
Yeah.
broke in the tour bus and he asked if he could borrow mine, which I thought was kind of funny because my
Yeah.
name has, or my guitar has my name on the fretboard and he thought it was cool and ended up playing my guitar with my name on it in front of my hometown friends and family and
Oh.
especially him being as big as he is, it was just so cool to see that.
That is so awesome. I man, I love that story. And what a cool like down to earth guy to just be like, sorry, my equipment broke. Can I please use your
Yeah, it
guitar?
was just like the coolest thing ever to just get a random DM from Ernest, who was huge at the time with flower shops, and
Yeah.
I think I announced the show by imitating his flower shops album cover. So it was just so cool to be able to see him with my guitar in front of everybody I know. And especially since he was like the biggest thing at the time, it was really special.
What a cool story too. I mean, yeah, that's awesome. And okay, so you said that was around the time that Flower Shops like dropped, and thinking about him as a songwriter, I feel like he's got as many amazing cuts with other artists as he does cuts like on his own album and the other album he just released and that kind of stuff. How often do you songwrite with other people for other people? Or do you mainly just songwrite with other people for yourself?
Yeah, I
When
would
you
say that I really do like writing with people that I know because they can kind of step in and help me navigate my feelings and vice versa. I can help them with
Cool.
their feelings, and we can write a really cool song about it. And also, I like writing with other people because you kind of get a piece of everybody's minds. Like I could be going in one direction and they could be going in a complete other direction, and it just comes out cooler than what you originally thought. I feel like that's the great thing about songwriting is you can go into a room and it'll come out
Yeah.
completely different.
I know what you mean. Just I think that's pretty cool though that you're able to share songs and be, you know, kind of like, ooh, I think this sounds really good, and you should have it because it sounds like a song that would work for you, or you know what I mean. Like I think that's especially now that you have that core group of friends, because I'm sure you all know each other's sound pretty well, and you know what the other one is looking for. So I think that's pretty smart in a way. Like I know there are a ton of songwriters out there who just like, you know, get paid with the pub deal to go write with certain writers every day, and sometimes it just doesn't create good art. You know, I don't know because it's yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the cool
go ahead.
thing about songwriting to me is just like you get a piece of everybody's minds, and like you could go in thinking it's one thing and then the song comes out the complete opposite.
Yeah. And I know where you're coming from with that. It's like you have a really good idea and then somebody's just like, "Wait, think about this." And then you're like, "Oh yeah, that's also a really good idea." Yeah. If you had a song that you've recently co-written or maybe even one that you've written by yourself that was just the easiest song that you've written so far. I'll say like when I mean easy like it just kind of like falls out and happens. Which song do you think that
I
is?
feel like the easiest song that kind of happened was Cigarette Smoke, my release before this. It just flowed so easily. I knew exactly what I wanted to say. I was just stuck on the
Whoa.
second verse, and one of my buddies who was a co-writer on it, Liam Coleman, he helped me write the second verse and like I said, navigate my feelings, help me, come to a point there, but Cigarette Smoke was just it's one of my favorite songs I've written, and it was so easy to just put it
Yeah.
out there.
And then on the flip of that, is there a song in your catalog that was like an absolute labor of love? Like took a long time to get out or just wouldn't happen and like finally it did and you're like, "Yes, that's it." So, do you have a song like that too?
Yeah, I would say Blame It was definitely a labor of love. Like I said a little bit earlier, it was something completely different that I'd written, I think, back maybe 2 years ago. And then I took it
Yeah.
to the writer's room. It was January 2023 that we finally just finished it. And now, obviously, it's October 2024. So there's been a big gap of time there. But I was really happy that it took so long just to get everybody on the same page because it's such a good song. All of my friends have put so
Wow.
much into it. My producer loves this song too. He put all of his love into it as well. So I think it definitely needed it. That was definitely the labor of love for
Well, and
us.
it's great that you did release it though, because like you said, it's different from the rest of your singles and your EP, and it's just something that you know is gonna get a lot more fans to gravitate and listen to you and really, yeah, get turned on by your music. Um, Let me ask you this, okay? And I've been jumping around a lot today. I just have lots of thoughts. Okay, do you have any tour dates or any other opening opportunities coming up soon?
Right now, I'm primarily just doing Broadway. So that's like my day to day job. I work 7 days a week doing that. But some of the bigger shows I have coming up are like Raised Rowdy, I'm playing
Oh
next
yeah,
week with my full band. That's really cool. I'm really excited to do that
is that
one.
the one? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Is that the one? It was like for the girls, or did I make that up?
No, so
Maybe
Raised
I did.
Rowdy, the girls one was also at Live Oak. Raised Rowdy was also at Live Oak, but now they moved over to Riley Green's Duck Blind, which I haven't been there
Ah,
yet, so
gotcha,
I'm super
gotcha.
excited to go.
Cool. Yeah, I need to. I haven't actually been there yet. I need to go. Yeah, that's awesome. Devin, I feel like this has been an awesome chat today. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking to me a lot about your music and everything that you have going on. Is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to or anything else that you'd like to promote before we hop off the call
I
today?
would just say shout out to my co-writers for waiting this long game with me, finally putting it out. Shout out to my producer who put all of his love into this song, and big thank you to my parents and my grandparents, and also Pitch Candy who have been working super hard to help me kind of take this to the next level. And you guys can find me on Instagram TikTok, wherever at Devon Beck Official. I also have a website, devonbeckofficial.com, where you can see all of my upcoming shows and all of that good stuff. But thank you so much for having me on today. It was really great to be
Mm.
able to get to know you and finally talk about my single that has come out. And I'm super excited to share it with the
Oh
world.
man, it was so much fun. I love chatting about new music, and I'm definitely a fan now. So yeah, I can't wait to hear more of your music too. Listeners out there, you just heard from Devon Beck. Go stream her newest single, Blame It, that dropped on October 18th. And you heard about it here with Leigh on Coda Country. Y'all have a great day. Thank you, Devon.